Hi, I'm Colette Coen. I'm a writer, workshop facilitator, and editor, and I'm also the 2024 Scriever for the Federation of Writers Scotland. In my last video, I spoke about inspiration and gave you some prompts. So now you're inspired, you've got ideas in your head, but you still can't seem to get them down on the page. So today I'm going to talk about barriers to our writing and creativity and suggest ways in which we can climb over, break through, or simply ignore them. We've all got barriers that get in the way of writing, but if writing is what you want to do, then you have to find a way with the challenges that come your way. I'm going to share some methods that I've picked up over the years and hope that this video will be helpful, and you can let me know in the comments. We're all different, so not everything that I suggest here will appeal to you, and that's absolutely fine. But hopefully there'll be something here that helps with your writing and creative life. So barriers come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Some can be small and easily dealt with, while others can appear insurmountable. We may need to reframe them, not as barriers, but as challenges, something to be tackled rather than overcome. And I'm going to break them down into different categories to make them easier to address. But first, you need to decide whether it's worth putting in the effort when all you see ahead of you are challenges or barriers. So ask yourself, do you enjoy writing? Do you feel as if this is what you were born to do? Is writing an itch that needs to be scratched? And if the answer is yes to any of these questions, then you're halfway there. Writing isn't something that you have to do, it's something that you want to do. If you see writing as a chore, then you need to remind yourself of why you want to do it. No one's forcing you. It's your choice. So make that choice. Say it out loud. Shout it from the rooftops if you want to, or tell your closest confidant. Write it on a post-it note to stick in a notebook. Or, if you're like me, and very few people are, give Yoda a sign that says, always wanted to do this, you have. Writing's your playtime, your fun, the thing that allows you to be you. And I've got Yoda looking over my shoulder, making sure that I do what I really want to do, which is write. So why don't you take a couple of minutes to write down why you want to write and what it means to you to be a writer. Few of us have the luxury of unlimited time and amazing surroundings in which to write, so we have to adapt and find what works for us. And I think that being adaptable is key, and I'm going to mention this later on as well. You should be a writer whenever and wherever you are, and this means being prepared or being prepared to improvise. So you've thought of that perfect line of poetry on your walk. So record yourself a voice note. You've worked your way out of a plot hole at the school gates. Scribble it down in the notebook that you always carry with you in your bag or your pocket. Or if you've forgotten it, find a scrap of paper that you pinch in your kid's school bag. What if your laptop's died or you don't have one? Well, you can go to the local library and use theirs for free. You might want to consider what it is that you actually need to be a writer. Do you need a desk, a laptop, a quiet corner, an undisturbed hour? Have you built your lack of any of these into a barrier? And if so, how are you going to break that barrier down? The first thing to do is to recognise if it is a barrier or if it's an excuse. And we'll look at internal barriers in another video. Do you really need a desk, or will the kitchen table do? Roald Dahl wrote in a shed with a board across his knees. Elizabeth Gaskell at the kitchen table with the hubbub of family life around her. If a laptop and a quiet corner are what you're after, then there's earbuds and headphones, the library, cafes, or community workspaces. I've just had a work together recently with some friends, and I would really recommend seeking out places where you can sit and work together, because community is important, especially when you're working alone. So why don't you take a moment just now and write down the physical things that you need that will help you become a writer or become a more productive writer. Technology has brought us a long way, and making use of it can open up a world of opportunities. If you can't travel, travel with the internet. If you can't get published, publish yourself. If you can't type, use voice recognition software. If technology is something that you struggle with, then why don't you embrace that opportunity to learn something new? And again, your local library or community education service can help. Organisations like Living Made Easy can help with accessibility aids, such as writing slopes, book holders, and computer tech. You'll find that the benefits will soon have you leaping over what you had previously perceived as a barrier. So you could write or record a note just now about what piece of technology would make your writing life easier. I mentioned adaptability a moment ago, and that also means perhaps having to consider what form of writing is right for you and right for now. And this can change over time. I recently heard Margaret Atwood say that she wrote poetry when she was younger and when she was in, let's call it, paid employment. And she only found the time to write novels when she could manage her own time, a very different kind of paid employment. At the moment, I write a lot of flash fiction and short stories because I've got many pulls on my time. But when I know that I'm going to have longer periods, I can pull out my novel and chip away at it. An undisturbed chunk of time can be the most tricky barrier to overcome, particularly if you've got work and/or care responsibilities. So you might need to negotiate, either with yourself or with those around you, that time to concentrate on your writing. Many writers talk about getting up before anyone else in the house is awake and to write in those quiet times. I like my own bed too much for that. While others burn the midnight oil after all the chores of the day are finished. An energetic few can write whilst bouncing babies on their laps or making a cordon bleu meal. That's not me. And if it's not you, then you need to find a time that suits you to write, and then make sure that that time is protected. Maybe you just need to get better at saying, I'm busy just now, when someone pops their head round the door for a quick chat. Or, I would really like a couple of hours to do this. Can you help me with that? And I know that this can be really tricky the first few times that you do it, but it gets easier and those interruptions become less frequent. I've even got this sign which I use when I'm recording videos. But the fact that it's in my hands and not in the door is making me a wee bit worried. But I have said to the other person in the house, I need time just now, and they're respecting that. And the more that we show that our writing is important to us, the more that our families learn that they need to respect that. What's more, by giving ourselves that quality time, makes us into happier and healthier people. And it's that adage of putting on your own oxygen mask first, which I'm finally beginning to understand. So what requests do you have to make of others or for yourselves to make that time to write and to protect it? Why don't you write down what those requests would be? So we're going from one of the hardest barriers to overcome to perhaps the easiest, and that's skills levels. Because for a start, every word that you write gives you more experience at being a writer. But just as you wouldn't expect an architect or a brain surgeon to be self-taught, we shouldn't assume that writers can be either. But thankfully, there's a plethora of resources out there to help increase our skills levels. Courses come at a variety of levels, from brushing up on your literacy skills to completing a PhD in creative writing. Some resources are free, while others you'll need to pay for, and the range here varies with the type of course. I'd suggest that you take a bit of time considering what aspect of your writing is most in need of guidance, whether it's dialogue or plotting, or if it's a specific genre like writing for children or horror. Or maybe you just need time to go on a writer's retreat. All these opportunities are out there, and you'll find information about them on the internet and in various places. I'd suggest to you that you have a look at the Writing magazine or Dyslexia. And these magazines and their websites also have loads of advice and inspiration on writing. And it goes without saying that there are many, many how-to books on writing. There's also podcasts and radio shows that can help build your knowledge and skills. And I'll put a wee list of ones that I've found useful at the end of this video. Personally, I found that paying for a Faber Academy course, which was quite pricey, made me take my writing more seriously. It became something more than a hobby. I wanted it to be a job, and that was how I needed to reframe it in my mind so that I could really commit to it. So what aspect of your writing do you feel would benefit from a course? If you want to improve the technical aspects of writing and editing work, a website I'd recommend is editor Louise Harnby's, which is packed full of resources. And if you click on her books tab or the resources section, you'll find loads of stuff. Seeking out kindred spirits is also wonderful for increasing and sharing your skills. I'm in a great writers group where we read and critique each other's writing. And by looking closely at the work of others, you begin to increase your technical skills. And if you don't, the others looking at your writing will point out what's glaringly obvious to them, but invisible to you. The Scottish Association of Writers has a page with contact details of groups throughout Scotland. Alternatively, you can join online communities. Enter writer and a specific term like Scotland or fantasy into Facebook search engine and see what groups come up. The Facebook page for the Federation of Writers Scotland has regular posts about courses and also about submission opportunities. Another thing that might be holding you back from some of the opportunities is cost. And at this point, you might wish to consider how you view your writing. Depending on your answer, you might view costs as equivalent to what you would spend on a hobby or a gym membership, and use that money to enter competitions or to buy resources for yourself. Or if you're thinking about a career in writing, then you're making a business investment for courses, editing, or book production services. You might not be able to afford to put any or hardly any money towards writing, but there are many places where you can submit your work for free. Other places just ask for a small fee to help with their administration costs. But it's inevitable, some competitions do come with hefty entrance fees, and it's a judgment call how much you want to spend. If a competition has a larger entrance fee, then make sure the prize and the prestige are worth it. And increasingly, competitions are offering free places for those experiencing financial difficulty. So it is worth looking out for them too. So this one's the biggie, and it's too big for this video. So I'm going to look at emotional barriers in my video on motivation. And it'll help with my motivation if you can give this video a like and a wee comment. I hope what I've said today helps you become a happier and more productive writer. I'll catch you later. Bye.